Welcome, brave listeners, to Wilhelm Presents Frightening Tales. I'm your host, Wilhelm. Tune in each week where I entertain my listeners with another dark and creepy tale of the paranormal, donated by authors from around the world. If you're an author of some paranormal fiction and would like your story shared with my listeners, submit one at frighteningtales.com. And while you're there, tune in for more than 30 hours of previous content. Today's episode is written by Vanessa Kelly Sibley, the closest thing to a full-time Frightening Tales writer as you'll get. Currently, Vanessa is a dear friend and advocate of Frightening Tales, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. Vanessa has contributed several stories with Frightening Tales. In Season 3, she shared Midnight Curtains, Philly, and Darcy Girl. And in Season 4, she shared Miss Wilkinson. And this tale now she calls Incy Wincy. You can find out more about Vanessa on her Substack called Pandora's Box of Infinite Stories at pandorasinfinitestories.substack.com. Now, for today's tale, Incy Wincy. The door to my heart was once red, but now it is burnt to a cinder black. I am not a monster. I am not the monster they say I am. Though as I hide in this darkest corner, waiting for my demise to come greet me, I know to the core of my broken heart that you would all disagree. I am, with all other things considered, just a mother who would do anything for her children, even love a fool, who now comes willingly to partake of my end. Hiding here from those dark-hearted creatures above me, they who bask in the afternoon sun, planning with punitive voices my demise. I cannot help but wonder why they bother. Do they not know they've already destroyed me by taking my only purpose and crushing it beneath their heels? All the colors of the world, all the light of my love, they have slipped away into black. Honey? Sweetheart, are you down there? Comes whispering into my sanctum. This voice derives from my husband. His heart, now full of fear, bears sweet words in ash in his mouth. Watch as he creeps down each step into this cold and wretched basement, gun in hand, bullets loaded, safety off. My long drawn-out low "Yes?" echoes from the coldest, deepest shadows in the furthest corner from the light. I am not afraid. There is no one left to love me. No reason not to embrace what will come. Stopping still, drowning in his own breath, my husband steadies his nerves, once more swallowing down his bile. The stench from their monstrous violence smothers the stagnant air. It's me. It's just me. I'm alone, Kate. There's no need to be afraid. This is a lie. Once again, my deep, guttural, drawn-out "Yes!" echoes out from this midnight nest. Kate, sweetie, Where are you? Nothing but the dripping of blood accompanies his tentative steps towards the dulled gas lantern now lying on its side, casting more shadow than light. Bending down slowly, keeping an eye on my darkened corner, he speaks empty kindness. Kate, baby, do you mind if I turn the lamp up? I do not, breathlessly comes slithering from my corner's pitch heart. This is the truth. I no longer care what is done to me. I cannot and will not hide myself any longer. I'm sorry, Kate. Truly, I am. My Thomas steps back just far enough to assure himself that he is not within my reach. Holding up the lantern, he peers into my hiding place. The townspeople they're just crazy, Kate. They're saying crazy stuff about you, hon. About the kids that went missing. He looks back up the staircase, knowing he won't get out of here alive, not unless he uses his gun on me. Humans always want their pound of flesh to feed their insatiable hunger for revenge. As I speak, bitterness stabs against my words. Humans are not capable of feelings. My voice sounds so different now. This is the real me. My real voice, with all its magnificent multi-layered timbers, so alien to his ears. Kate, I have asked you. The lantern is held out on shivering hands in front of his body, redirecting the searching light back to my corner. Have any of the other children survived? Suffocating agony escapes my heart. No. As retribution glides on blackened wing into this darkened basement, I shrieked. They killed them all. No one survives. Goosebumps run across his skin. Are you sure, Kate? Are you sure none of the... His words falter. Worried his wife, the monster, might attack if provoked. The 4 other children you kidnapped, Kate, are any of them still alive? Thomas! I cannot help but succumb to my distress. Look at what they did to our children. I hear his heart hammer in his chest wall. Does he not see our loss is far greater than theirs? Does his heart not bleed for his murdered babies, his sons, his daughters? No. Look at him shiver. He will do what they want. His heart is spiked with their revulsion. They who have beaten his wife almost to death. They who have slaughtered his children. They who are the real monsters. He sides with them. He needs to find their children and cares nothing for the death of his own. That's the deal. Find the kidnapped children or join the monster. Kate, the parents, they just want them back. He stays as calm as possible, trying to elicit past love in a hope I would forget the atrocities carried out against me and my younglings. Forget and trust him. The incubators are here, Thomas. They are here with me. I thought our babies would be safe close to me. Misery washes over my soul, taking a pitiful whimper with it, filling the empty space with my suffering. My husband looks around the school's long, abandoned basement, hardened to willfully ignore my pain. Don't call them that, Kate. Why, Thomas? Why? That is what they were. They're little children, Kate. They were in your class. You taught them. God damn it, Kate. They all trusted you. I am not sure if it was anger or fear that bled into his tone. Regardless, I watched with cold eyes as he physically struggles to keep his emotions under control. All done for the sake of his own skin. They were the little lambs for my babies to be wrapped into. They were to succor our younglings, to nourish, nurture, and sustain them. Kate! Fear sprang forth in his growled tone. Children are not food. Yes, Thomas! Yes! Their children are my children's food. They were the best sustenance for our younglings. The best will only do for our children. Emotions had made my heart pump harder, allowing a wet cough to come sputtering from my darkness. It wouldn't be long now. This is how it has always been. His shouting hurt my ears. Kate, people don't feed on children. His jaw clamped down as my hissed, "Yes, you do," struck from my inky corner. You eat the young of so many creatures upon this world. Your kind always has. To survive, for life to occur, so must a death. As I confronted him with the undeniable truth, I basked in the echoes of my quiet laugh. My kind has known this since time immemorial. We have embraced it and walked with our reality. A steadying breath was taken. Kate, where are the children? Was his only measured response. Behind you, Thomas. This human I had loved for 5 years turned, raising the swaying gas lamp up, and shone the light to the back wall. My shadowed corner grew, as did his horror-filled and repeated nose. The 4 incubators were still carefully raised from the cold floor and attached to the wall with my silken webs. In a sitting pose, their hands rested on their tethered legs. Their little faces were cold and frozen, with eyes as white as little moons rising over black cavernous mouths. They had felt nothing. My venom had made sure of this, They knew of nothing other than a sweet stupor. But then the light of Thomas's lantern revealed the true horror. The 4 remaining incubators' extended stomachs had once held a single youngling within each. Their stomachs stretched so thin I could see my babies through their translucent flesh. I would watch and coo to my children growing inside each living container, nourished every day from their host's lifeblood. My babies, growing strong and beautiful, swirling and wriggling within, strengthening their bodies, readying for their new lives. But then, we were discovered before I could lay my 5th egg. Men came searching this place, where their 5th child was last seen, here at my school. They strode up to the schoolhouse, with its bright red door and crimson walls, to ask the schoolmistress and her husband. No, I had said. I had not seen the girl. She had left with the others at the end of the day. But to my absolute horror, it was decided to search the basement. And then, my darlings were discovered. The 5th child tenderly wrapped in my silk, awaiting my baby's embrace, was stolen from me by one of the men who ran out into the sun screaming her discovery. I tried to protect my babies against the remaining violent apes. I stood and defended them, hitting at the attackers, begging them to see the true beauty before them. I watched their wide eyes, full of hatred and violence, as they swung their raised sticks, beating at me till I fell to the ground. Dead, they hoped. But no, not yet. That happened when, in the hopes of saving the hosts, they cut open their bellies and watched as my babies fell to the ground, crushing them under their stomping boots, grinding their skulls to the dirt floor. The screams, their suffering. That was the last. That was when I no longer hid in plain sight. I let my true form manifest itself. The false flesh fell from my combined legs and arms, revealing my 8 long, glistening black pointed legs. My swelling abdomen swung back from a hidden belly to its rightful arching position. Those killers didn't stand a chance. I pounced and slashed, I bit and tore, wrapping their dead, withering flesh into my silk so as to suffocate them. Revenge was sweet, but my children lay dead in the dirt on the floor. I cradled their little corpses in my loving arms, and I staggered to this darkened corner furthest from the place of their execution, whispering to them that Mama loved them all. Soon, babies, soon, my sweet darlings, we will be together once more. And now, I will die. For this is the way of my kind. We live, we love, we decay, readying the world for our flesh and bones so our children can flourish upon our decay. Kate, what have you done? What have you? He stormed back to my corner, the lantern and gun held high, illuminating the tears on my face. Still shrouded in a cloak of blackened obscurity, meeting his gaze, I whispered, I am Kate, as I always have been. Thomas's face turned from my own, his eyes widening in fear as I allowed one searching black spindly leg to tap its way out of the darkness, searching for sure footing. Thomas took a staggering step back, his mouth opening and closing as if in search of silent words. My shining black leg came out into the light and was then, in pure articulated grace, held in the tapping company by 3 others, one after the other. They created enough stability for me to stand. "Kate! Kate! Kate!" The horror in his voice flew out into our shadowed world, in which I took my rightful and glorious place upon all 8 legs. The Kate he knew was dead and buried. Only a small resemblance to her in my naked form still existed. His eyes traveled from my head to my neck, cradling arms and then my chest. His Kate was then lost as my rib cage slimmed down to a thin, blackened, triangled thorax, nipping in, then swelling to a magnificent round and corpulent abdomen held high behind me. I am a queen, resplendent in my being, standing half again the height of my husband. He looked up at my towering form. "Kate, you're... Thomas was frozen, wide-eyed, with an open mouth, overwhelmed by my present. "I am Arachnid. I am queen. I am the apex of this world." Anger pulsed through my heart. "No more will your life be one of light, of colors, of all the greens and blues. My love, there will be no more hues in this world for you." I took a staggering step towards him. "Like mine, your world will turn black as everything fades into grief and pain. The world itself will all turn midnight ebony." Another set of steps was taken, ensuring Thomas took one of his own. Smiling, I continued, "You are my husband, he who must fulfill his role." Before Thomas had time to use his gun, I rushed and embraced him with 4 of my magnificent appendages, wrapping his shivering body close in an eternal embrace. My arms still cradling our dead babies, leaning close to his ear and whispering above his screams, "Thomas, you will find a dark and safe place by the time the night comes, where you will sit and wait for our child to grow and finally emerge. You will succor your baby till they are strong and you are empty." I lifted him off the ground and pushed my abdomen between us, thrusting our very last child through a small cut in and under his stomach skin, making him groan and screech out in terror. Finally, I leaned in and kissed his lips once more, passing my venom into his system so he would be compliant. Breaking the caress to look into his eyes, sorrow flowed into my embrace. "I will fade now, Thomas. You won't have to kill me. My purpose is complete, as is my life. I will be reborn in our child." And with that, I felt the quickening take me over, all 8 spindly legs losing their strength, folding and collapsing, taking my empty abdomen to the dirt floor to lay forever with my crushed babies. The last of my vision held Thomas clutching his side, walking quietly up the stairs to the crowd above, silhouetted by the setting sun. I was dead. The monster was dead. They should set fire to the school. Burn it all. All to hell. The last golden color of flame was thrown down to the floor, and my life of blackness ended as it had begun, with color all around. My baby was safe. Thank you, brave listeners, for joining me in another dark tale. I urge my listeners to go out and find more content by our weekly authors, if you're not too timid. If you enjoyed today's episode, please click the like button. And if you don't want to miss a future story, click the subscribe button. And tune in next week for another frightening tale, if you're brave enough.